Hey guys, it's Tom here from Metalloud, and it's time to review the new album from the alternative pop group Panic at the Disco called Death of a Bachelor.
Alright, alright. Alright, it's a hell of a feeling.
So Death of a Bachelor is the fifth studio album that we get from Panic at the Disco, which at this point is pretty much just Brendan Urie doing his thing, since all the original members have left for various reasons throughout the years. And this album definitely kind of continues the trend that we saw with Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die, with the heavy influence of modern pop electronics. However, in this case, Brendan Urie's bringing in a lot more outside influences of other genres, things we really don't see in pop music in general. There's a lot of songs on here that are kind of channeling like a big band lounge sound, kind of a Rat Pack feel to them. The closing track really feels straight like a Frank Sinatra song, like he's trying to channel Frank Sinatra and pay homage to him. And it really does work because in that track they do strip out a lot of the electronics. It's not heavy on it or anything. They're there, but they seem to enhance the sound versus being there to just, be part of the song itself. Then there's songs like Don't Threaten Me with a Good Time, which have a surf rock kind of feel to them with a bass line ripped from the B-52s. And it's such a fantastic song with that. It feels perfect that it blends that together with this catchy hook that he has going on in there. You have songs like Emperor's New Clothes, which are just a straight pop song and kind of definitely feel like very, very modern. You have the opening track, Victorious, which is definitely an anthem track. It's pumping, it's booming, feels like you can go out and do anything after listening to it, and it's something that really works. You have Hallelujah, which brings in more of the theatrics and the some of the melodrama of their previous work. Kind of reminds me of the song This Is Gospel a little bit, but kind of like This Is Gospel a little bit more than Hallelujah. Hallelujah kind of feels a little bit forced to me, but it's still an excellent track on this. It's kind of one of those that's really grown on me, as well as the track Death of a Bachelor, the title track off this album, which feels again like he's kind of channeling Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack and things like that in this kind of big band style. And this one has a lot more of the electronic work in here versus the closing track Impossible Year, which I said kind of they stripped out a bit of the electronic work and it feels more just like Brendan Urie doing his thing on that track. Death of a Bachelor is way more produced in the sense. It does work. It's another song that really kind of has started to grow on me, but it's not quite there yet. I don't like it as much as the other tracks on here. There's some tracks that really kind of feel just not great, like Golden Days kind of feels again a bit cheesy, a bit melodramatic on there, about remembering good times and things like that. You have LA Devotee, which is definitely a fun party song about LA and being in LA and that kind of culture and things like that, but it's an all right song. It's nothing I would say. I don't hate the song, but it's really not that great. It works as a party anthem, but that's all it feels like. It kind of just feels superficial a little bit. The song Crazy Equal Genius definitely feels like another kind of big band sound with the brass sections and things like that. You have The Good, the Bad, and the Dirty, which is definitely a roaring track on there. House of Memories has probably the catchiest hook on this album. And just overall, I think this album is a very kind of consistent in its quality. Even the songs that I particularly don't care for don't feel really that bad. They don't feel like they're that forced or that cheesy or anything like that I can criticize about them. They're just something that doesn't really appeal to me, versus there are other albums which have had songs that really were just not good and just really didn't work at all. I don't think there's anything like that on this track, on this album here. The only thing I would say is that there's really no consistency to the actual album itself. It feels like it's a collection of songs. They're really good songs, they work, and there is a consistent kind of style that creeps in here. Like I said, the most common thing is the kind of big band sound with the horns and things like that, but overall these songs feel kind of more like a collection of songs on this album, and that's really the only thing I could say about it is, you know, even a Fever You Can't Sweat Out and Vices and Virtues and Pretty Odd, they all felt like consistent albums, like they were all written at the same time and meant to be an album, and that they weren't just written as singles per se. And a lot of these feel like they were written to be singles, and it's not necessarily a bad thing because they work as singles. A lot of them are that good, and like I said, they are very kind of modern pop sound mixed in with some other outside influences, and for that it definitely does a good job, but they do feel like a lot of times that they are written to be singles per se. And overall, Death of a Bachelor, I think, is probably one of the best albums that we've seen from Panic at the Disco. I mean, this really feels like they've kind of embraced the fact that at this point, since it's pretty much just Brendan Urie doing his thing, they've kind of embraced the fact that they're just a pop group, and, you know, an alternative pop group, you know, not something really, you know, not in the same vein as something like One Direction or Justin Bieber or anything like that, but, you know, they've kind of gone away from that kind of punk rock vibe that they had in their original Fever You Can't Sweat Out, or even the folky sound of Pretty Odd, and kind of just embrace the fact that they are a electronic pop group. And I think that really works for this. I think that's why this album comes off better than Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die, which again kind of felt just inconsistent in its delivery. And this feels like that Brendan Urie has really kind of found his own on this album, and I really enjoy this overall. Like I said, even the songs that I didn't like at first, they almost released half this album before it even came out with their singles. I mean, by today, the day it's released, we've already heard Victorious, we've already heard Hallelujah, Emperor's New Clothes, Don't Threaten Me with a Good Time, Death of a Bachelor, and LA Devotee. And, you know, that's about half to 3/4 of the album right there. I kind of didn't like that they did that. I mean, it's great. I always love hearing new music from bands, but I like to be surprised. You know, I always like hearing, you know, maybe a couple songs before an album comes out, but not almost the entire album. But that's kind of irrelevant in this. I mean, they are all still great tracks. Like I said, the songs like Hallelujah and Death of a Bachelor didn't really kind of catch my attention when they first released them. I like I said, Hallelujah kind of felt like a continuation of This Is Gospel, and Death of a Bachelor just kind of felt weird and out of place when I heard it as a single. It definitely fits in on this album, though, and it works. It's definitely something that has grown on me, and this album just in general I think is a great album. If you're a fan of like alternative pop music and electronic music, you should check it out. If you're a Panic fan, might be split on this. Definitely from what I've seen from people who are fans, the consensus is kind of split. There's, you know, I've seen everything from people absolutely hating this album and wondering, you know, what they're doing and what their, you know, where their style is gone, to people like me who absolutely love this album and really think that they kind of did a great job with mixing different genres and things like that into an electronic influenced album. So those were my thoughts on Death of a Bachelor from Panic at the Disco. What did you guys think of this album? I've been hearing a lot of different things, people who really just hate this album and really don't feel like it's any good from Panic at the Disco, and people who, like me, really liked it. So I want to know what you guys think about this. Seems to be divisive album. You know, so go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think so we can kind of discuss this. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more.